Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Tejano Virtual Events. This session is Journaling for Mental Health by Tony Procell. This session will be recorded so that you may come back to it later if you need, and so others who may have missed out on today's events will be able to come and watch it. Thank you. So now, at this time, please mute your mics for the best sound experience. Otherwise, the feedback could interfere with information we will be sharing today. Without further ado, I'll pass it on to Mr. Procell so that we may begin.
Okay, thank you so much for that introduction. Yes, my name is Tony Procell. I'm an English instructor at the Northwest Campus. I've been with the campus, with the college for several decades now. I'm past 3 decades with the college, so I'm an old timer. But I am doing this session on journaling and mental health. And before I get into some of the more specifics, I just want to kind of give you a little background as to where I'm coming from. And the topic is journaling, and it's exactly what you would think it is by the word journal. It's keeping a journal, a little notebook where you record thoughts and reaction to life stimuli, that sort of thing. But just to give you a perspective of where and it's not a new idea, it's not a novel idea. It's been around for a long, long time, and even some of our forefather classical writers who kept journals and for various reasons. One in particular that comes to mind is William Wordsworth. He and his best friend Samuel Taylor Coleridge, poets of the Romantic era, used to go hiking up in England, and Dorothy Wordsworth would come along with them, and she'd have her journal, and she'd be recording things that William Wordsworth and Coleridge were saying, and things that she was observing about nature. And so that was a form of stress release for them, but it was also the premise of some of the most celebrated poetry, romantic poetry that we have. But to give you kind of a perspective of where I'm coming from in terms of journaling, as I said, I'm an English major, and when I was an undergraduate in college, working towards my English degree, I also was interested in creating my own literature. So I joined the creative writing department, and I became a double major, both the English literature side and then now creative writing. And I wanted to create characters that were actually true to life. I wanted to create characters that had real life situations and real life emotions and reactions and that express the happiness and excitement that life can offer sometimes, and also would express the sorrow and the sadness and depression that sometimes also life can offer. And so I took one course in psychology. It was an introductory course, which, as an introductory course, it was just an overview, didn't really give me much information. So I took another psychology course, and then that got deeper into psychological concepts and elements. And from there, one psychology class led to another psychology class, we led to another psychology class, and I ended up taking psychology in the law, abnormal psychology, even animal psychology was one of them. And I just fell in love with the field, with psychology. And there came a point when I when I had to make my decision going into my master's program, which would it be? Would it be English literature or would it be psychology? I never got my degree in psychology. It was only about 2 classes shy of a bachelor's in psychology as well. And to this day, I regret not ever going that extra mile. So something that you can take away from this little lecture is, follow through with your ideas, with your goals, and because you'll someday look back and regret that you didn't do something or another. So I regret to this day not having gotten my degree in psychology, but it was enough for me to really fall in love with the field. And When I went into English literature as a graduate school, in graduate school, I continued with psychology from a personal level, independent study, and I bought many books and I read articles and I studied theorists and doctors and therapists and so it just grew from there. And then when I was in graduate school, I remember this classmate of mine, his name was Alex. He would come during graduate school. We had this opportunity to have 1 year's teaching symposium where the professor would come in and sit in our class and observe us teach. And then we would meet with him privately, and then we would go over, things that I was doing right, or things that I could improve on, or things that I was doing wrong, so that kind of thing. And this guy Alex complained to the professor's name was Dr. Burnham. He complained to the professor, and he said that he has a student in there who seems very kind of preoccupied with other things than what he was teaching, and he found out that this student was going through some troubles, personal troubles, and experiencing sadness. And then another student, I think, was pregnant, and so she had the complication of her pregnancy going on, that sort of thing. And so Alex complained to Dr. Burnham and said, um, um, my goal here is to teach English and writing and literature. Uh, he says, yet I'm having all these students who come up to me with problems and issues. And he says, that's not what I signed up for. And Dr. Burnham responded and said, to become a professor is also to be part social worker. He says, you will run to real people that have real issues in life and have real struggles, and so that's part of teaching, is to understand the personality types and to be able to work with the personality types. And sometimes that's what you do. You sit down in your office and you listen to a student who's going through some hard times, and you offer student avenues. You turn them to people where they can get help, authorities in the subject, or at least you give them an opportunity to vent and get things off of their minds and stuff. And so teaching to me has been tremendous in that sense, that I've over my 32, 33 years of teaching, I've had students who open up and tell me some of the struggles that they're going through. And well, I won't repeat any here. Some of them have been very, very, very serious. And I've worked with the college and authorities, counselors, and to get the students the help that they need. I can say, I mean, the ones that do keep track with me, they've had positive results when they actually went to see a psychologist and a therapist, a counselor. And so that's where my background came from. And of course, when the college opened up the mental health committee, I mean, that was just a perfect fit for me. And so I joined the mental health committee, and that's where I'm coming at you today, is through that mental health, as a member of the mental health committee, as an English professor, and then as someone who genuinely cares and someone who genuinely wants to help students, especially those who are really struggling with issues. And of course, you hear all of the horror stories of things going on in our world, and you may know somebody in your circle of friends who maybe you think is depressed or has anxiety or any of those kind of manifestations, bipolar, maybe is on the spectrum, that sort of thing. And so you want to help. And as an English instructor, one of the things that I do is I assign a journal. And journaling is a tool. Journaling, keeping a journal is not the same as going to a therapist. It's not the same as going to a psychologist. It's not counseling. It is a tool, and it is important to understand that keeping a journal is a tool, but it is a very effective tool. It's a tool that is very reflective on your life and what you put, what you're experiencing, what you're going through, the life stimuli, your reaction to it, whether it's coursework at a college, whether it's your employment, relationship problems, even maybe chemical imbalance, something that was inherently with you from your childhood, uh, present, and those kinds of things. So I frequently assign journals from a literary perspective. But in English 1301, I don't know where you guys are in your education, but if you've taken English 1301, maybe your instructor had you keep a journal, but my 1301 students will keep journals, and uh, the assignment is really to have them open up in their journals to not hold back, even if they use foul language, even if they're very explicit and graphic in some cases, even if the journaling is through artwork, not words, not sentences, but doodling, sketching, drawing, that sort of thing, whatever comes to you. And what I ask students to do is if they come across, and I have to grade these because it is a course assignment, but if a student feels like they've written something incredibly private, uh, um, then and I should say that even with the technological age that we're in, even with all the computers and processing, word processing, Microsoft Word, and other such programs, and ways of journaling through Blackboard. If you've taken courses that use this medium here, we're on Blackboard. It has a journaling component. Nothing beats, at least in my experience, nothing beats a good old pen and paper, having a journal that you can write in a pen, and doing it the old-fashioned way. And I believe studies indicate that we think better when we write on paper and pen rather than writing to a computer. I don't know if it's the glare of a computer. I don't know if it's the mechanics of a keyboard, but we think better writing in pen and paper. So I have students do it physically, and if there's something incredibly private that they're going through that they don't want me to read, then they kind of dog ear the paper and they staple it or they put another paper in front of it so I don't read it, and I respect their thoughts. I don't fudge. I don't look over the flap or anything. They don't want me to read it. I won't read it. If they want me to read it and want to share, I'm more than willing to read through these things. And by the end of the semester, we discuss the journal and what they got out of it, and the results are always overwhelmingly positive in how much a journal really helped them understand their position as students, maybe see themselves in a relationship from a outsider's point of view, work through problems, identify the way they're reacting to people, relationships, that kind of thing. And so it's been a positive experience. And before I get into some more specifics on journaling, um, there is one of the things that prompted me to do a workshop such as this is that there's a TV show on Netflix called Maid, M-A-I-D. It is with an actress. Her name is Margaret Qualley. And if you ever saw the Brad Pitt movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino directed movie, fantastic movie. And if you're familiar with that movie, there is this really young, thin girl that Brad Pitt's character picks up along the streets, and he brings her into his car and they befriend each other. And that's Margaret Qualley, if you're familiar with that movie. She's Andy McDowell's daughter, if you know who that is. But anyway, in this series Made, she's a very impoverished young lady. She's married to an alcoholic. The alcoholic works with this young lady's father, and the alcoholic husband is very abusive. He's very neglecting. They have a little tiny baby, about a year old, and is very neglectful of the baby, very abusive of the child. And so she turns to her father for help. But of course, the father is friends with the alcoholic husband, and the father actually employs them in the construction company. So this girl has nowhere to turn. There's no money. She's very poor. They live in a trailer. So that's kind of the premise of the show. It's a series. It's about 8 week series. But by the end of the show, when she's finally getting her life in order and picking the pieces up and finding, she enrolls in a community college, and things are looking up for her. She had joined the support group, and by the end of the show, she's actually the facilitator of the support group, and she assigns a journal for everybody to scribble in, to write in, and they meet once a week, and they write their most inner thoughts and again their reactions to life experiences and whatnot. And then they sit in a circle at the meeting room, and she asks for volunteers who wants to read their journal. There's no pressure. Nobody has to read anything if they don't want to. She starts off by reading her because she also participates with them, and she reads her journal, and that encourages others to want to read some entries from their journal, and then so people start to share their experiences through what they've written in their journals, and it becomes a very enlightening moment because they realize that they're not alone, that through the journal experience that and the sharing of their journal experiences, that others are going through some very similar situations, or even if it's not a similar situation, their reaction to it or the outcome of it is similar to what they're going through. And so it's that sharing, to know that, hey, we're not in this world alone. There are those people there who want to help. And just sometimes by releasing it, by reading it, and even if you don't read it, just by writing it, that in and of itself is an incredibly therapeutic experience. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you want to watch that show, it's called Made, MAID, and it's an award-winning Golden Globe winning show with Margaret Qualley. But anyway, getting now to more immediate information, a journal. Before I move any further, we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 participants. Does anybody here ever kept a journal? I'm just curious. Does anybody want to volunteer? Paula. Anybody else keep a journal? Okay. Jocelyn. How about Antonio? Have you kept a journal, Antonio? If the answer is no, that's okay. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. And the reason I singled you out is because studies do show that, that males, are less likely to share their emotional experiences. There's the studies show that the men are more reserved. They keep to themselves, and it's very difficult for a therapist to kind of explore the maybe life experiences or the current emotional framework of a male versus a female. And journals are, I think, excellent ways for everybody of all identities to keep track of your ideas and stuff. So, Antonio, if you haven't kept a journal, I mean, I hope that maybe you'll consider one in the future. I have kept a journal since, I think, probably 1982, 1983. And one of the interesting things is when I go back to those early years and I read what I was feeling in those days. I read what my interests were and how I was reacting to maybe a professor, a teacher, or a relationship, or my own parents. I didn't have a father. I was raised by my mom and my grandma, and how I would react to their discipline style and whatnot. And the people that I was interested in, those people who I befriended, I mean, what was I thinking? Some of the stuff is shocking, and it's interesting to see how much I've grown, um, how much I've changed. Just yesterday, I saw this interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator star, and he's talking about in the 70s when all he wanted to do was bodybuild, and then that became too much because he grew out of it. His body, he became too old, so he turned to acting, and then from acting he turned to politics, and then from politics he's wondering what he can do. So he says he devotes a large part of his time to helping others, and one of the things he's realized is how much his thinking has changed and how much things that he thought were important in those early years of his career in the 70s, and how completely different of a person he is now in 2023. And if you keep a journal, you can kind of trace through that life experience. It's interesting to kind of see your growth and your change over the years, and certainly over the decades. Does anybody have any questions before I move forward? Anybody want to share anything about journaling, an experience you've had, or your thoughts on journaling? Anybody? Somebody, please? No? This is a quiet bunch. Okay, I'm so glad, Allison, you said the word diary, because that is my segue to kind of go into this PowerPoint here. Oops, let me try that again. So here I am here. You should see what I like to often call the never-ending tunnel. Let me know if you guys can see that. Somebody give me a thumbs up or a yes, I can see that. Great. Okay, then from there I'll go to this PowerPoint here that I have, and again, journaling for mental health. And Allison, you mentioned a diary. There is a difference between a diary and a journal, and there's nothing wrong with keeping a diary. Think of a diary as a log of your daily events. And I'm not sure, hold on a second. I'm not sure if somebody is asking questions because I just heard the click, but I'm not able to kind of look at questions. Let me see. I don't write too often, says Paula, but I kind of became over because it hurts my hand to write on paper. But it's so nice to see how I change over time. I mean, that's okay if the computer works for you better. And nobody says that the journal is restricted to writing. You can record your thoughts. Yeah, I can understand that. You can record your thoughts, and music is also a form of diary, artwork, that sort of thing. But anyway, let me get to the PowerPoint here. And the difference between a diary and a journal here. It says a diary is used to record. Think of it as if you're out at sea and you have a log and you're recording what you're witnessing, what you're seeing. Thomas Jefferson, he was a meteorologist of sorts, and he would record weather patterns. And this is how we know a lot about the weather in the 1700s, was because of Thomas Jefferson's logs. And so diaries are used to record. Diaries tend to be objective. They're not at all influenced by feelings or reactions to stimuli. It's just really recording the events of a day. Even though a diary might detail how the writer felt at a particular time, diaries are linear. They're just linear accounts of the past. I was in biology class, and my teacher assigned us this project where we had to dissect a frog, And when I opened the frog, it made me a little nauseous. And my friend makes fun of me because and so you're just recording your thoughts. I mean, you're recording what happened, even though you said it made me nauseous, how you felt. It was just part of your event of that day. That's where a journal is reflective. A journal, you're now addressing how you maybe feel about a movie you just saw. Maybe you feel about a conversation you had that day, or you overheard somebody say something that you found offensive, and you react to that comment that somebody made, or maybe somebody said something very encouraging, or you heard a lecture by a professor, or heard a song, and you want to react to that song. You want to kind of respond and put yourself, how would I have reacted if I was a person in that song? So journals are a compendium, a collection of thoughts and feelings. A journal provokes the writer to explore the psyche, and is a powerful tool that can help access the subconscious and the unconscious minds. And so that is the difference between a diary. And Allison, if you meant to say journal, but it said diary instead, then I kind of know that there is a difference there. Um, but if you are keeping a diary, if you're just recording the day's events as they go by, that's okay too. And that also will show your growth over years, and because you'll know what you were doing and who you were with, and where you worked and those kinds of things. And they're more kind of factual happenings of the day rather than an emotional. But I did want to point out that there is a distinction there between a diary and a journal. So what exactly is journaling then? It is an interactive tool. Remember that it is a tool. A journal does not take the place of a therapist. A journal does not take the place of someone who has the authority, the license, the experience to offer advice. In some cases, some therapists give homework. They assign you they ask you to kind of put yourself in certain kinds of situations and see how you react to them. Like, for example, my daughter, she's very intimidated at times to go talk to people that she doesn't know, even if it's somebody who works at a store. Like, do you have this in a size whatever? Do you have this in a blue? Or I can't seem to find these pair of shoes here. And so it's like college might tell her to purposely go out and put herself out there, talk to a clerk at a store, an attendant at a store, and record the feelings. What were you feeling when you were doing that? So there could be homework that is asked you to be written down by a therapist, but the journal itself is a tool, and it allows you to create order out of what maybe sometimes may seem chaos to you. It allows you to both manage symptoms of mental health challenges and create new life goals. You can kind of see where your goals now. You can give yourself objectives where you want to be in 2 months, in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years. Journaling can be as basic as writing down what is on your mind as a way to record your inner workings and help you better understand your thoughts and your emotions. It is a tool for organizing your thoughts. They can kind of make some sense of what you're feeling, because you're recording your feelings down, and you're noticing that every time you're around this particular situation, it's a trigger for you. That you feel anxiety when that kind of happens. So you can now make sense of it, and you know now to avoid those things that can trigger moments of anxiety, moments of panic, moments of sadness, of depression, and even those things that trigger happiness, to feel joyful about something. So those are the kinds of things that you would seek rather than avoid, because now you're making sense of it through your journal. What does it do for your mental health? Expressing yourself creatively. It's a great way for relieving stress and focusing on the things in life that aren't working for you, that aren't serving you. You can use a journal to develop or practice healthy habits, set and work toward goals. It's a good way to jot down your goals and to see if you're keeping them. You put down, this is where I'd like to achieve, and 6 months later, revisit them and see where you are. Maybe you're on your way towards there, and so you're making progress. Maybe there was a setback, and so you can reflect on that and then make amends and maybe continue forward. Manage your mental health and improve your anxiety, stress, depression. Uh, Journaling doesn't require a long time a lot of your day, even just a few minutes a day. It really can make a difference to your outlook of the day, of the next day that comes. You don't have to spend 30 minutes, an hour and a half, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or you can carry your journal with you, which is what I do a lot. And those golden moments, you're waiting at the doctor's office, so you pull out your journal. You're in line at the grocery or at a bank, and you pull out a journal and record a sentence or two of what you saw or felt or experienced. Those little tiny moments. Just don't do it while driving. That's not ever a good idea. But those little moments, those little hiccups in life, you can use those to record. Uh, Journaling helpful when you want to understand your past. You can explore your past, start jot down things from your childhood, things with your caregivers, your parents, friends, teachers, coaches. Uh, the journal can help you become unstuck, if you want to use that word, by providing clarity. If you're really stuck in a rut, a particular kind of relationship, a tendency you intend to have, uh, by jotting it on paper and seeing it in print, it can help you get unstuck. Through journaling, you might decide to seek extra support, uh, leave or deepen a relationship, pursue a life dream. The first one is important there, where it says um, um, you might decide to seek extra support. It might prompt you to actually talk to somebody. That somebody could be anybody. It could be someone you respect. Somebody could be a parent, a friend that you look up to, a priest, a rabbi, a leader of a church group, coach, and it may even prompt you to, as it says here, work with a mental health therapist. Maybe that's what prompts you and says, hey, I'm noticing the trend that I keep writing here. Maybe I should talk to somebody, but not just a friend or a relative, but somebody who has studied therapy and psychology and kind of maybe see what that can bring me. You can record your thoughts, feelings, experiences outside of therapy, and then when you go back to your next session, you bring with you your journal, and now you share that with your therapist. Remember, it's confidential. Whatever you tell your therapist, the therapist is bound by law to keep it confidential. They cannot tell other people. So whatever you share with them, they will keep it confidential. So anything you write in your journal and you share with the therapist, you know that it won't be spread. You can record your thoughts and take notes during therapy. It works the other way too. You don't just bring the outside notes into the therapy. Whatever you record in the therapy, you can now take outside and maybe practice them. Complete assignments, write in your journal, making your therapy experience more thorough and hopefully satisfying. Some more benefits: it reduces anxiety, stress. The journal helps with depression. It helps with brooding, ruminating. The word ruminating is really big in my family because my daughter has had bouts with depression, and she does ruminate. She dwells on ideas, on bad situations. If she's walking down a store, a mall, a park, and somebody has a grimace on their face, she'll interpret that as, hey, there's something about me you don't like, but the person could be having a bad day. Maybe they were fired from a job. Maybe they're stressing over a test, an exam. Has nothing to do with my daughter, but she'll ruminate over this person's look all day long. All day long, she'll dwell. Putting it in a journal can help with those brooding, ruminating moments. Creates awareness of the people you're around, the people you associate with, the activities that you do. Where you work, your school. It regulates emotions. If you tend to get angry too fast, if you become too sad, and if you tend to fall in love too fast. Oh my gosh, I just met this person, I'm in love. It kind of helps you regulate and see that, okay, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be falling in love so fast. What can I do? And maybe that's when you seek outside help. It helps identify triggers, those things that create that anxiety, the depression. It helps identify and address negative thoughts and behaviors, and encourages opening up. It can even speed up healing. Remember, it's a tool. If I'm working on a cabinet, I'm trying to, or make a desk, I'm a carpenter, if I have the right tool, it speeds up the creation and the making of that desk or bookshelf that I'm making. So the journal is a tool that can speed up my healing if I keep one. This is very important here. Safe space, and remember this. This is your sanctuary, the journal. This is your room. This is your space. You write in it what you want. You don't have to share your journal with anybody. Nobody. If you're married, you don't have to share it with your spouse, with your parents, with siblings, your best friend, your innermost thoughts, the reactions to what you're going through, your experiences, relationships. So that's your safe space, and it's for you. Um, if you opt to share it, that's a decision that you make. If you want to share it with your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend or even a therapist, that's a choice you make. But if you want to keep it completely to yourself, then uh, you don't have to share. It's your safe space. And like I said, I've been keeping a journal for ages, and um, very, very few times have I ever shared anything with anybody that I put in my journal. So understand the safe space. Um, Interesting here, thoughts versus facts. And this again harkens back to diary versus a journal. Journaling helps you look at your thoughts in a more objective way. Um, Oftentimes we approach our thoughts as facts. Like I told you, a person had a kind of an angry look, and so that was a fact. Yes, the person did have an angry look, but kind of making sense of it through a journal, you can now reason that maybe the person's having a bad day, maybe the person lost a job, maybe the person has relationship problems, maybe the person's dog just ran away. We don't know what's going on. So that person's look, angry look, well, it may be fact that that person looks that way right now. Uh, in a journal, you can reason through that, as where in a diary, you just record that that person had this certain look. And so, thoughts versus facts. A journal is more on your thoughts. A diary is leading towards more factual events of the day. Um, Tips for daily journaling: uh, commit to it. Try to do it every day. There's a particular time of day you prefer. It could be early morning when you wake up. It could be right before going to bed, when you get home. If setting a time limit helps you, I'm going to record my thoughts in these 10 minutes, 15 minutes, free. That would be good. If being flexible works for you, that's good too. Be open to journaling in whatever method works for you. It can be private or you can share it. You write openly, it's your safe space. Uh, and if it helps, use a prompt. I have some prompts here later on that I'll share with you real quick, well, at least bring to light. Points to consider before you're journaling. Try it on the
Can I
first.
interrupt real quick? Is there something that you're showing on the screen? Because it's a white screen right now.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So just to let
Yeah,
you
I'm showing. Let me. You guys aren't being able to see this. Let me get out of it and come back in. Okay, I'm out of it, right? And there we go. Do you see that?
that one is one of those long infinity screens that has multiple
Right,
pages. So you might want to
right.
show, I guess, the window.
And then can you
There
see
you go.
that right there?
That one we can see now.
Oh, wow. So I did all that and nobody was seeing anything. Just so you'll see what I did, I traced right back to it right quickly. And it'll make some sense to you, I hope. And I apologize for that. Um, Actually, here we are with the thoughts. We're way at the beginning. Um, a diary, we said the diary, we defined what journaling was, um, what journaling does to your mental health, the benefits of journaling. Here are more benefits: reduce anxiety, stress, depression. We talked about ruminating. It helps with brooding and ruminating. Creates awareness, emotions, triggers. It helps you identify those triggers. Negative thoughts, behaviors. It helps you open up, maybe to a family member, loved one, a friend, therapist, and it can speed up healing. My analogy of a carpenter who has the right tools will speed up the building of a cabinet versus not having the right tools. A journal with as a tool that can help speed up healing versus not keeping one at all. That you don't have those benefits of being aware and seeing your life there on paper. The safe space we discussed, thoughts versus fact, and how the diary tends to record factual elements of a day, as where the journal records thoughts. Um, Tips for this is kind of where we were planning a time, setting the time limit, um, being open to journaling in whatever way that makes sense for you. It can be private or you can share it. The idea is to write openly. Remember, it's a safe space, so write openly. Um, and if it helps, you can use a prompt. Here I have um, 7 steps to how to write a journal entry. Pick a journaling tool, whether it's a notebook, whether it's a computer, on a tablet, even your phone. You can time yourself, have a timer. Always date your entries. Remember, that's the first thing you should write, is because you want to be able to, when you go back and read things, especially many, many years later, even a month later, you know what time frame in your life that was happening, and so date it and just start writing. There's no right or wrong way. There is no methodology. There's no outline. It's just however you want to write it, whether it's in blurbs, fragments, complete sentences, paragraphs, pictures, sketches, what have you. Keep it private. If you share it, it's generally keep it private. Uh, Read what you write. Don't just write and forget. Go back and read and reflect and see where your life is and where it has been and where it can be. And do it regularly. Daily is good, but if you do it 3 times a week, it's good. That's beneficial. Even if you just do it once a week. Remember, it's not a diary. You're responding to and reacting to what's going on around you, the life stimuli, the relationships, and your feelings, and um, your home life, your school life, your work life, that kind of thing. Um, Express your thoughts and emotions, how to journal for mental health, write judgment free, avoid censoring. You don't have to censor your thoughts, your language, uh, the explicit nature maybe, so avoid censoring. Write in a stream of consciousness, meaning what you're thinking. Um, don't write outside of the mind where you're just recording events. You're going to write from inside the mind, your conscious, to how you're feeling, your emotions about certain things that you're going through. Separate yourself from your thoughts and write from an external view. Feel your thoughts by releasing negative emotions. Document symptoms you experience, physical, emotional. Uh, Sometimes being sad really plays a role in your physical health as well. Sometimes being very sick can cause you to be depressed or anxious. Um, Track your mood with a scale of 1 to 5. Descriptions such as happy or sad. See where you're kind of set your progress, track your progress, read and reflect on your entry after you have finished writing to process thoughts and emotions. So you've written an entry, 10 minutes worth of writing, and then reflect on that, read it and see how you react to that and what you think about that. And then do so daily because that may prompt you at some point to say, hey, I think I'd like to talk to somebody. Here are some topics, general topics for journaling. Reflect on activities you've been doing in the past day or two, important days in your life, so significant moments maybe, what you're worried about or bothered by, things that annoy you, what made you feel good or you enjoyed doing. Describe something you're proud of. Write a letter to your past. That's a very common one. Um, what would you tell yourself, the person you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, yesterday? Important decisions you've made, future goals or achievements you want to accomplish. Um, or if you prepare, here's some prompts. Right now, I feel strong emotions of. Today made me smile because something maybe made you feel good. You're smiling. I feel anxious about something that's kind of driving your anxiety. To change the outcome, I can, and then finish that idea. Worrying prevented me from accomplishing maybe a task or doing well in a test, uh, sparking that relationship. A friend supported me by, what did the friend do? I'm afraid of. What are your fears? Track them down as a good prompt. A more likely outcome for my fear is, you know, FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt said there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So a more likely outcome for my fear was what? What would that be into that sentence? I'm grateful for. What are you grateful for? You find that if you're having some depression, you might see some things that you're still grateful for, and those could be now lifelines to improvement, to feeling better, uplifting. I can let go of things I cannot control by. What things can you let go? What are some things you have no control over, like the Alcoholics Creed? You know, you're worrying about things you have no control over, so just let those go and only work with those things that you do have control over. So those are some prompts that you can engage in. When should you be journaling? Um, that's up to you, what's best for you. And throughout the day, in the morning, in the evening, before bed, at breakfast time, before your work gets going, your day gets going. Um, Types of journaling, there's visual journaling, gratitude journaling, the journal just on things you're grateful, intuition journaling, the journal just on your intuitions about your feelings about things, that this is going to happen, this is going to be the outcome of that. Musical journaling, I'm a musician, I play guitar for many years, and I write my own music, and it's my escape. My lyrics, I tend to really put out there what I'm going through. Stream of consciousness, your thoughts, just your thought processes run your journaling. Mentor journaling, those people who you look up to. Unsent letter, like I said, to your past, or a letter you might send to an old friend, a boss, a grandfather, grandmother. What is going well journaling? Some journal just on things that are going well for you. Um, and this is just in the classroom. Like I said, I explained at the beginning how I use it in the classroom. Um, finals week, 10 ways journaling benefits, improves mental health, helps you with tests, encourages self-confidence, boosts your emotional intelligence, achieving goals, inspires creativity, and helps with memory, critical thinking, heightens academic performance, improves physical health, strengthens communication and writing skills, things that are all applicable to school, especially now as we're headed towards finals week. I apologize that a lot of this was blank. I feel really, really bad about this. As a matter of fact, funny, I'm going to go write about it in my journal today, I'm pretty darn sure. But thank you for attending the workshop. Here's my number. I'm at the Northwest campus, and there's my email. Feel free, please, to reach out to me if you're feeling something, going through an experience, and you just want to vent, or I can help you in finding resources that can help you. But the long and the short of it is, even if you're not dealing with severe mental stress, you should keep a journal, and it's not a bad idea to follow one. Anybody have any questions? Oh yeah. Um, Again, I apologize if that was blank. But I hope that what I said made some kind of sense and you got something out of it. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to maybe share your experience with a journal? Not anything specific that you wrote in a journal, but how a journal maybe has helped you, how long you've been keeping anything. Questions? Uh, how long, Allison, how long have you been keeping your diary? You can't wait till you read what you wrote in 10 years. It's going to be very interesting. Oh, since you were 8 years old. Wow. That's pretty cool. Keep it up. And I don't know, when you say diary, do you mean journal? So 10 years, or are you writing it as a diary? You're just writing down events, or are you seeing it more as a journal where you're writing down your thoughts and feelings and reactions to things happening in your life? Allison, I don't know that you got my question. If you're following it more as a diary, as a journal. But both as a journal and a diary. Good. I mean, I think that's fantastic. Please do so. Keep going. Anybody else want to share anything?
Paula has a question.
Oh, she does? Where is her question? Paula, you have a question?
Yes, sir. I was wondering, just how do you keep writing even though maybe you're discouraged that it's not helping or you're not seeing the fruits of it helping you alleviate stress in that sense? And also maybe you're just, you know, I think I tend to be a perfectionist and it comes out in my journaling and being like, oh well, I tend to write in a stream of consciousness as well. And I said, well, I can't record it in paper. I can't record my stream of consciousness as accurate on paper, but I also the alternative ways of journaling um don't feel very yes adequate. So but how do you just keep encouraging yourself to do it?
Well, one of the things that you can do, remember, and it was one of these slides that do read what you've written and act on what you've written. Like if you've set yourself goals or if you've noticed triggers, because one of the defining points of a journal, distinguishing points of a journal, is not simply to record your emotions and your thoughts and such, your feelings, but to use them as the mechanisms to help you with growth and feeling better. So if you're noticing a trend that in your journals, you're not feeling any better by keeping a journal, and you've kept it for 6 months or a year already, but you're noticing that every time you are in a particular life situation, maybe with a particular person or maybe the job you're in, maybe the stress level that the job causes, and those are triggers for you. And that's where your journal comes in handy, because you've noticed that, okay, you've now defined this as a trigger for anxiety, it's a trigger for depression. And so now it prompts you to act to change that part of your life. Uh, in order for it to be a functioning tool, there needs to be that second component. It's not simply only recording. That in of itself has value, but it's really the acting on it. If I can just kind of use a biblical analogy, someone who believes in God and reads the Bible, there is a difference between just reading the Bible. There are some people who read the Bible and think, hey, I read it and I should be good, but it's more on acting on what the Bible is telling you and the ideals that are presented in the Christian values. So in a journal, think about it that way too. It's not so much just recording your thoughts and your feelings, but then start to break them down, assess them, and notice what things are your triggers, what things make you happy, what people that you're with make you happy so that you can hang around with those people more often, what events stimulate you, sports events, concerts, things that you wanted to try all your life. You've always wanted to paint. You wrote it down in your journal, but now you should paint. You should buy yourself some paints and some canvas and paint. So I'm hoping that when you're saying it's not working for you, then maybe I'm hoping that because you haven't tried to go to the next step, which is now looking at and analyzing what could be those triggers or what could be those areas in your life that you now have identified as needing change. And now you act on it and you start to make those changes. I don't know do you go back and you read your commentary and then try to and also remember, I don't know how, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but depending on how, and for lack of a better word, intense your maybe whatever you're going through is, or maybe if you're experiencing depression, maybe your journal is prompting you that now is a time that I need to speak to somebody. And it could be a mentor, it could be a teacher, a parent, and then from there, maybe the next step is a therapist. And continue with the journal. But of course, that's dependent upon what it is you're writing and experiencing, whether you want to go to a therapist. But I think that would be it, is to now act and start to look at those trends and act on those trends towards betterment. Did that help any?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope so. And thank you for keeping one. And I hope you don't get discouraged. And you can even write that in your journal. Hey, this journal is just, it's what's going on here? What am I doing wrong here that's not working? And it's not so much that you're doing anything wrong. It's now that you need to look at those things that are in your journal and now start addressing them external from your journal. Any other questions, concerns, grievances, illusions, frustrations, anxieties, anything you want to share with me? Anybody?
Well, thank you so much. I think it was wonderful. I didn't really even realize that what we were missing, because I enjoyed listening to you speak. So you really gave a good overview of journaling. So thank you so much.
I hope so. And I apologize for the blank screen. I feel real bad about that. But
No, that's fine. I think it was a very good session. So thank you so much, and thank you for your time and for all of you coming. Next week we will have another workshop, and it will be on service learning. So I hope you all can join us and learn about all the great things that our service learning program does within the community. And Paula says, "Don't worry, it's common for professors to forget."
well, I didn't know. I actually did it. I think I hit the wrong share the screen because I shared application. Maybe I hit the wrong. I don't know, but it was operator problem. That wasn't the computer. It was most likely me. But thank you, Astrid, for uh, your comment, for Great information. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you again. And there are Tejano passport points in the chat in case you're interested to get some Tejano passport points for attending today.
Yeah, Ms. Sanchez, I have a question about the passport points. Can
Okay.
we come back next week and get more points for the next event, or is it
Definitely.
Okay.
Every time you come to one of the events, it's a different code. And so those are additional points every time you attend one of these workshops or attend any of the great things that they sponsor throughout all of EPCC and in the community. There's all sorts of opportunities to earn these points. And so I'm going to go ahead and share a file that we have on Tejano Passport if it's available. I don't see it here, but I will go ahead and share that with you. There is a website within EPCC for Tejano passport points. And so let me get that for you.
Kristen, I need to move on to a meeting. Is that okay?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you again.